Welcome back to Hashtag That. I'm Krista Barong.
And I'm Fiona Stevens. From Scream 6 to the Oscars, we're back with the latest entertainment news updates.
All that and more. From Hamden to Hollywood, we are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
From Hamden to Hollywood, we are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
On Friday, March 17th, famous musician and actor Lance Reddick passed away. Reddick starred in major Hollywood hits, such as the John Wick franchise and Angels Have Fallen. He also starred in TV shows such as Fringe, The Wire, and Lost. The actor was most recently casted in the upcoming Disney Plus series Percy Jackson and the Olympians to play Zeus. His Wire co-star Wendell Pierce shared some words in honor of Reddick, stating, quote, "The epitome of class, a sudden, unexpected, sharp, painful grief for our artistic family, an unimaginable suffering for his personal family and loved ones. Godspeed, my friend, you made your mark here," end quote. Reddick's wife is asking for donations to be made in her husband's name at momcares.org, a nonprofit designed to help mothers and families in Reddick's hometown of Baltimore.
You win, I'm out. Fashion designer and stylist Law Roach announced in a now-deleted Instagram post with the stamp word retired in bold. The caption read, "If this business was just about the clothes, I would do it for the rest of my life. But unfortunately, it's not. The politics, the lies, and false narratives finally got me." The 44-year-old stylist made his styling debut in 2009 with Ye and went on to work with A-list celebrities like Celine Dion, Ariana Grande, Anne Hathaway, and most notably Zendaya. In an interview with The Cut on Friday, Roach explained his abrupt stepping back. "I don't want to suffer no more. I don't want to be unhappy. I don't want to be at the beck and call of people and their teams. I want to take some time to figure out, how to live." Roach won the CFDA Best Stylist Award in November and had his final 5 looks premiere on the Vanity Fair Oscar party carpet.
If you are a Grishaverse fan like I am, then you must have also freaked out when Season 2 of Shadow and Bone finally got released on March 16th. The show follows a young woman named Alina Starkov as she discovers she has powers that could save the world from forces. Upon release, the show has taken the #1 spot on Netflix, pushing popular TV show You to #2. Many fans were pleased with the second season, but others complained about how they were unable to see anything on the screen, even with the brightness on their devices being all the way up. Fans are pushing Netflix to confirm Season 3, but as of right now, the fate of the show rests with the producers and Netflix.
Academy Award winner Troy Kotsur will be presented with the 2023 Spotlight Award at the 15th Real Abilities Film Festival this April. Real Abilities is the nation's largest film festival that promotes disability awareness and representation in media by bringing together the community to explore, discuss, embrace, and celebrate the diversity of our shared human experience. 10 features and 24 short films from 9 countries will be screened along with post-screening discussions surrounding inclusive media. Real Abilities additionally provides a multitude of accessibility accommodations for all screenings, including open captions, ASL interpreters, auditory listening devices, as well as creating a sensory and wheelchair-friendly environment. Festival tickets go on sale March 30th.
The Oscars were just over 2 weeks ago, but here to discuss fans' reactions, the good, the bad, and the ugly is Haley Ruscio.
Hey hashtag, arguably the biggest event in Hollywood, the Oscars, was held on Sunday, March 12th this year. A lot went down at the event, and so I'm here to break down the audience's top and bottom 3 moments from the Oscars, based on what they're still talking about on Twitter a week later. Jimmy Kimmel was the host this year, and while many of his jokes landed, others definitely did not. Kimmel's most egregious jokes came from when he interacted with activist Malala Yousafzai. Kimmel asked Malala for her thoughts about if Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine and then walked away, calling her Malala Land. Fans erupted on social media, telling Kimmel to get away from her and turning his slap jokes against him. This year's ceremony featured performances from all the Best Original Song nominees, including unforgettable performances by Rihanna, Lady Gaga, and David Byrne with Hot Dog Fingers. But the one no one could stop talking about was the performance of the song Natu Natu from the Indian film RRR, which went on to win the Oscar. After the ceremony, Natu Natu's popularity skyrocketed, with streams on Spotify increasing by over 960%. Thousands of people, from the Try Guy Zach Kornfeld to the Prime Minister of India, celebrated the achievement, saying things like, "A jubilant moment for Indian cinema," and "Thanks for making whole India proud." With every award ceremony, there's bound to be upsets. Most upsets this year came from the German war film All Quiet on the Western Front, which won cinematography, international feature film, original score, and production design. The wins in score and production design were the most surprising, as most thought they would go to Damien Chazelle's Babylon. Viewers commented on the repetitive nature of the song that played each time All Quiet won an award, the almost villain-like nature of the score, and expressed their desire for the film to stop winning. Up until now, the only person of color who had won in the Best Leading Actress category was Halle Berry all the way back in 2002, when it was announced that she would be presenting the award for Best Leading Actress this year. Many people hoped that it meant she would be handing the honor over to Michelle Yeoh for her performance in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that's exactly what ended up happening. Fans were ecstatic, calling Michelle Yeoh a treasure, saying she had a powerhouse performance, and calling this the beginning of a new era. Based on audience reactions, the most hated part of this year's Oscars was Jamie Lee Curtis winning for Best Supporting Actress for her role in Everything Everywhere All at Once. When it was announced she won, it seemed nearly no one was excited for her or thought she was the most deserving. People were particularly mad that she won over Angela Bassett, as both Curtis's and Bassett's win would have been seen as a legacy award, and Stephanie Hsu, as many believe she was much more memorable in Everything Everywhere All at Once than Curtis. Some joked about how she was the least deserving of the year, how they would steal the Oscar for Bassett, and how Curtis's performance was much less serious than Hsu's. The best and probably most wholesome part of the Oscars was everything involving Ke Huy Quan. Whether it be from his award for Best Supporting Actor, his excitement at meeting other celebrities, his reunion with Harrison Ford, or his reunion with fellow winner Brendan Fraser. Fans called him an inspiration, said that he deserved everything, and said they cried at the moment he won. I had a lot of fun watching the Oscars this year, and I can't wait for next year. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Joe, spot on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Parade recently made its return to Broadway, and here to talk about the show and the controversy behind it is Carly Sanger.
Hey hashtag, it's Carly, and over spring break, I was able to go to Broadway's revival of Parade, starring Ben Platt and Michaela Diamond, and it was incredible. Jason Robert Brown's Parade is the story of a Jewish man living in Georgia, Leo Frank, who is married to his wife, Lucille Frank, and they live a very mundane life. He moved from Brooklyn to Georgia, where she is from, because her uncle offered him a very well-paying job running a factory, and all is well until a 13-year-old girl is unfortunately killed in his factory, and Leo is the man that they accuse wrongfully of killing her. This story is a true story, and it is a very, very tragic story, and it is very hard-hitting and it's very emotional, but I think that it was one of the best shows I've ever seen. Throughout the show, there are a series of projections on the walls and on the desk, like the props in front of them, showing the date that it was, which is the real date that all the trials happened or something important happened that was told in the story. And on the back wall, there were pictures of the actual real person that was being portrayed when someone from the cast would come on stage and would talk for the first time, and it would say their name in the back too. The two most memorable parts of the show were definitely one, how Ben Platt stays on stage for the entire intermission. It's kind of fun to just watch him wander around. He sits at his table, he brought a cup of water at one point. It's kind of fun to just see Ben Platt, who I am an incredibly big fan of, just sitting there and just waiting for the next act to start. And I would say that the second most memorable part for me was the ending of the show. It really encapsulates the entire story and it makes it feel so incredibly real. There's a finale song with the entire cast, bringing it all full circle for the audience and for the cast members. And it was incredibly moving. There was one final projection on the table in front of us, and it said that the case was finally reopened in 2019 and it is still ongoing today. The show very, very clearly highlights the innocence of Leo Frank, which is an attempt to bring his name to justice. But this got the show in some controversy and trouble, as the first night of previews, there was an anti-Semitic protest outside of the theater. This caused Platt to go to his Instagram story that night after hearing what had happened, and to tell everyone that that's why he thinks that the show is so important to bring to life, and how he feels so honored to play the character of Leo Frank. Overall, Parade was an absolutely exceptional show. Ben Platt and Michaela Diamond were phenomenal, and the entire cast was just incredible. It was one of the best theater experiences I've ever seen. It was a show not like any other show I have ever seen, and I'm so honored that I was able to see it when I could, and in the third row at that. The show is only going on through August, so it has sort of a limited run, but it is longer than what was expected, and I do think it is an incredibly important show for people to see. That's all I have for you guys. Back to you at the desk.
We are back with late night highlights, and here to give us the rundown is Audrey Scafati.
Thank you, Fiona and Krista. Now let's not waste any more time and talk about what's been going on in the world of late night television. Last week, James Corden had another installment of his famous carpool karaoke. The special guest helping him get to work was rapper and singer Bad Bunny. The pair covered a wide variety of topics, including the reason for the name Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny said, quote, "No matter how bad, he's still looking cute." The adorable duo sang Break Free by Ariana Grande. The pair got extremely into the song and even stopped mid-conversation to hit one of Grande's iconic high notes. Grande reacted to the moment on her Instagram story with a bunch of crying emojis. Some of the activities Corden and Bad Bunny did on their drive included drawing self-portraits of each other and going to the boxing ring to practice some WWE-style fighting with Rey Mysterio. It was another successful ride to work for James Corden. Moving on to some stationary interviews, last Tuesday, Rachel Zegler made an appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Zegler talked about odd interactions with strangers since her debut as Maria in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, including people calling her Maria and even serenading her in public. Kimmel asked his guest about what her life was like before landing the role of Maria at the young age of 17. Zegler shared that she was a wedding singer and would sing in church at weddings and funerals. They ended the interview by talking about Zegler's most recent film, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. She talked about her excitement about her characters being sisters with Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu. Shazam! Fury of the Gods is out in theaters now. Lastly, on Thursday, Keanu Reeves was a guest on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. In the interview, Reeves talked about a comic book series of his called Berserker. The first issue sold over 650,000 copies, making it the highest-selling indie comic in the 21st century. Reeves said he loves comic books and had an idea for a complicated half-mortal, half-immortal character, struggling with his own violent nature. Then Fallon talked about how the new John Wick Chapter 4 and how it is his own personal favorite in the franchise. Reeves said that there were new characters added and there was more opening up in the world of John Wick. Finally, Fallon played one of his favorite games with Reeves, Pup Quiz. In this game, the winner of each trivia question gets a puppy to snuggle. Reeves ended the snuggly game with 5 golden retriever puppies on his lap. That's all I have for this week's Late Night Highlights. I'm Audrey Scafati, sending it back to Fiona and Krista at the desk.
Hey Fiona, did you know that we have a super fan of on tonight's show? Ben Darling is here to give us the latest flash news.
On June 16th, the fastest man alive, Barry Allen, the Scarlet Speedster himself, the Flash, will run into our theaters. I, for one, am very excited for the overall impact it could have on the DCEU. But why should people care about a superhero that's already had a 9-season-long run on the CW? I'm here to tell you that the Flash is going to achieve here what he's always achieved, the impossible.
And I'm the fastest man alive.
Now, for those not familiar with DC stories, the main setup to the Flash movie is going to be Flashpoint, the story of Barry Allen's Flash going back in time and saving his mother from being murdered. In the comics, this storyline is used quite often to reboot the universe. The story acts as the same as the name suggests. It's the Flashpoint to basically nuking a DC storyline. The Flashpoint story I would like to highlight is from the animated universe. Flashback to 2013, DC releases Justice League, The Flashpoint Paradox. The plot follows the main storylines behind Barry going back in time to save his mom. However, the entire world rapidly deteriorates, with Aquaman and Wonder Woman going to war, Batman actually being Thomas Wayne, and Superman never making his landing on Earth. Throughout the main plot of the universe, the Flashpoint is mentioned several times, and in fact creates a full circle effect with the Reverse Flash going back in time to fight the Suicide Squad to stop himself from dying after being killed by Batman in the Flash time continuity. Coupled with John Constantine making the Flash run back in time and creating another Flashpoint to reset the board after Darkseid had won and conquered the Earth and basically destroyed it. What that long-winded recap does is set up the reason the upcoming Flashpoint movie can be so consequential, taking into account how the Flashpoint is normally used and how I just described its impact on the DC animated universe. The conclusion we can draw upon is one that James Gunn has been hinting at for a while now. A complete DCE reboot is underway. Now, this can either make or break the DCEU. The fact of the matter is that Marvel ratings are beginning to decline. DC has a chance to overtake them. Will they take it? We'll have to see. Another rumor is that Grant Gustin is going to be reprising his role within the Flash movie. However, sources may vary on how large of an impact it will have on the story. One thing is known for certain though, this movie will be one for the history books. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you right back after this commercial break.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
We're back within a New York Minute, and here to fill us in on all the latest East Coast entertainment news is Mason Glad.
Thanks, guys. Jumping right into the first story. As the highly anticipated Hollywood adaptation of the Broadway musical approaches, it appears that Tina Fey may be the biggest mean girl of them all. Rosalind Wiseman, the writer of the novel Queen Bees and Wannabes, on which the Mean Girls franchise is based, is claiming that she has only received $400,000 despite the franchise generating millions for Paramount. Although Wiseman's original contract specified that she was signing away the rights to motion picture and derivative works, there was no discussion of other projects at the time. Wiseman argues that just because she signed away the rights does not make it fair, but Paramount claims they have made no money on the franchise. With a hit movie, a hit Broadway musical, and an upcoming adaptation of said musical, the question remains, does Wiseman deserve more compensation for her work?
When it comes to this, I truly do believe that since she's like the original creator, that she should get more for her work that she has done. Yes, she sold it off, but with everything that they've added on to all of this, it just seems fair, and I'm not entirely sure why Paramount is saying, oh, like they haven't made any money off of this franchise despite having the hit cult classic Mean Girls, and then the Broadway show, and now that they're making a live, the adaptation of the musical into a movie, it doesn't make sense. But what do you think?
You're definitely right, Krista. Paramount is saying that they haven't made any money on the franchise whatsoever, which that definitely is not the case. However, I feel like when it comes down to it, Wiseman signed this contract with no residual section whatsoever and didn't really understand that back in the early 2000s, Mean Girls wasn't that cult classic that it is today. So it's unfortunate that she didn't really get to cash in on it, but unfortunately with the way that they outlined that contract, it's just the way that it goes. But Mason, what do you think?
I think it's definitely tough because, Wiseman signed the contract, so legally it checks out, but I think Tina Fey is going to want to rectify the situation because it's not a great look. But moving on to other trouble on Broadway, the upcoming production of the novel and film Room was postponed indefinitely just about 2 weeks before the show was meant to enter previews. The news came after a lead producer on the film, Nathan Gahan, withdrew his production company from being a partner on the production, citing a family crisis. Gahan argues that he tried to help the production find different funding, but other producers claim that his help was insufficient. The show had been in rehearsal and production for 5 months before the announcement. With all of this, do you think it was fair for the producer of the show to pull funding so close to release?
Normally, Krista, they say the show must go on, but unfortunately when there's a $7 million financial gap, sometimes that's just not possible. I do think it was very unprofessional, though, for Gahan to just pull out 2 weeks before previews, before everything's supposed to go up, especially after all that time that was put into the production itself, just to cite family reasons and then pull your entire production company out. It seems that there's a little bit of a drama, a little bit of conflict. But Krista?
I mean, I totally agree, and we also have to take into account all the people involved on this show, like from the actors and everyone behind the scenes, costume designers, the directors. So many people are being influenced by this one decision, by this one person taking themselves and their production company out of the mix. So that person is going to have a really hard time probably getting a job in the future based on this. But Mason, what's your opinion on this whole thing?
I agree with you, Krista. I just think of all the actors and crew members who worked so hard on this production. They actually released a TikTok, and it was so sweet talking about how much they loved the production. So hopefully it gets to see the light of day one day. But to move on to kind of a brighter story, a new show is actually coming to the stage titled Here We Are. The show will mark Stephen Sondheim's final musical after his passing in 2021. The musical is set to be strictly limited engagement and will begin in September 2023. While little is known about the plot, the show is supposedly inspired by the films The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie and The Exterminating Angel. With Here We Are marking Sondheim's final show following iconic works such as Sweeney Todd and Company, what do you think Sondheim's legacy will be?
I mean, he already is a legend. If we already look at his works such as everything that Mason mentioned, including Into the Woods and West Side Story, he has truly made his mark here on this planet.
I think his legacy is being able to tell such compelling stories through the power of music, and it's really sad that we won't see anything new, but however, it still definitely will live on in our memory. But Mason?
I agree. I think that, Sondheim's made such influential works, and I'm excited to see how this one goes. Well, that's all I have for this week in a New York Minute. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you!
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savebythescan.org.
I think it's just vapor with flavor.
It won't hurt my kid like cigarettes, right?
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
My kid?
My kid knows it's dangerous.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping, maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life, but how can it be prevented?
Well, the first step is knowing if you have prediabetes, a serious medical condition that puts you at high risk for type 2 diabetes. 1 in 3 American adults has prediabetes, but more than 80% don't know they have it. The good news is, prediabetes can be reversed, and for many people, healthy changes in their daily routine can make a big difference. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Don't you just love when movie franchises can't seem to get enough, so they make 3, 4, 5 movies? Well, the Scream franchise took it up one more notch and made Scream 6. Let's hear from Alex Bean and Michael Rada about their thoughts on the movie.
Hey, hashtag, I'm Michael.
And I'm Alex, and this is what we thought of Scream 6.
Scream 6 was made by the directing duo of Radio Silence, aka Matthew Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gilletta. Just like the previous Scream movie, this one stars Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera, but this time Ghostface takes Manhattan.
I found Scream 6 to be a very nice surprise. I mean, as someone that is a very big fan of the franchise as a whole, I've seen the first Scream probably like 10 times, and someone who can agree that the sequels have been so-so in quality, I was very pleasantly surprised by Scream 6. I was expecting maybe just a solid movie that would have a few good laughs, a few great moments. Before Scream 6, my personal favorite Scream sequel would have had to be Scream 4, released in 2011. But after viewing this film, I can confidently say that this is probably the second best in the franchise, since you just can't beat the original.
Now, unlike Alex, I'm a pretty new fan to the franchise, being that the first one I saw was the one that came out last year, which was the soft reboot. Now, I really loved that one, so going into this one I had really high expectations. But I gotta say, it didn't really match them. I thought this movie was really good, don't get me wrong, but it just didn't really capture the magic of that last one.
Now, there are a few franchise staples. First off, the intro. Ever since the intro of the first film back in 1996, it's been a franchise staple of the film starting with a notable celebrity and a phone call, and notable celebrity probably dying soon after. And this film takes that concept and really dials it up to a very unexpected level that I was almost immediately on board for this movie.
I really liked Scream 6. I thought the mystery was really good. I did not know who the killer was. Something I really liked about it was its use of location. It really made New York City a character in the movie, like how Ghostface would be in a bodega or in an alleyway. They did a really good job of taking the story away from Woodsboro.
That's all we have today. Back to you guys at the desk.
This week, we are back with another Hag Ranked, where Krista and I will be discussing you, the viewers, and your thoughts on trending pop culture moments.
This week, we asked you guys, do you think more influencers should be invited to the Met Gala or keep it at an A-list celebrity event? Fiona, what's your thoughts?
Well, the results that we have from our poll is that A-lists are at 56% and influencers are at 44%. So it seems that, our community agrees that it should be kept to a more higher end clientele. Influencers definitely have different, the things to bring to the table, but what do you think?
I mean, I think everyone knows I'm not the biggest fan of these TikTok influencers or influencers in general, but I don't really care to see the D'Amelio sisters or like Addison Rae at this event. I truly think that it needs to be just for the A-list.
I mean, there are definitely some more impactful influencers that we've seen, like Liza Koshy or Emma Chamberlain doing the Vogue red carpet interviews, and they always seem to have a fun time with it.
Which gives them credibility.
But gives them the credibility, and I feel like they offer something more to the event in addition to it, rather than just being able to show up.
I totally agree.
But yes, definitely.
Let's move on to some new artists to watch. If you are looking for a new band to listen to, then you need to check out Austin and the Powers, based in Pennsylvania. They are an indie rock band comprised of Austin Eisner, Taylor Kroll, Colin Fosnot, and Nick Winter. Their music is reminiscent of the band Panic at the Disco, but with more of a beachy vibe. The band currently has over 5,000 followers on Instagram and has over 77,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Austin and the Powers will be joining alongside bands Ravine and the Kitchen Counters on a brief tour starting later this month in Alabama, Georgia, Ohio, Minnesota, Kansas, and Tennessee. Be sure to follow them at Austin and the Powers on Instagram to see what they do next.
Originally online as a Fortnite streamer, David, spelled D4VD, has broken through TikTok For You pages for his original music he made on the app BandLab in his childhood bedroom closet. At 17 years of age, David started with melodies similar to Wallow's in his song Here With You, but recently released a genre switch-up with Worthless. His inspirations span from Shiloh Dynasty, Steve Lacy, Deftones, Ski Mask, and The Neighborhood. SZA recently shouted David last week and met up with him at a tour stop in New York. You can stream David on Spotify, SoundCloud, or catch him streaming on Twitch.
That's all we have this week on #that.
Be sure to follow us on our social media accounts to stay up to date.
I'm Krista Barong.
And I'm Fiona Stevens. Thank you for watching #that. From the producers, talent, and everyone working hard behind the scenes, thank you for watching. We will see you again next week.